What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of Bob's Garage. Today we're talking about the Thor skid plates. Alright, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. And as you saw in episode 5, I had a little bit of damage to the skid plate and the front bumper of my car from the snow that we had. We had over a foot of snow and almost 2 feet of drifting, and it was not didn't fare well for my plastic stock skid plate. So what I did was I ordered up a brand new Thor skid plate, and I was really impressed with the build quality. It's much thicker than the stock skid plate, much heavier as it was metal compared to plastic. And to be honest, I don't even know what the stock skid plate even looked like, because more than half of it ripped off of my car and was gone in the snow. All I had was just a tiny little piece left of it, and whatever. So when I installed the Thor skid plate, all I had to do was remove the rear hanger that you would typically use to hold up the stock plastic skid plate. It was just a couple bolts. And from there, the Thor skid plate is held on by just 4 bolts. So the rear 2 bolts just bolt into the subframe itself, which is pretty badass. And the front 2 bolts just line up and bolt into a little bit of the spot underneath the radiator. So the rear bolts are kind of interesting how they work. So they give you these little expanding, exploding nuts that you screw into the subframe, and as you screw them in with the special tool that they provide, they kind of balloon or mushroom out, and then when you unscrew the bolt from that expanding nut, you leave that nut basically stuck in your subframe, and then from there you can bolt your skid plate into that nut. So it's a pretty interesting design. I've never seen anything like it before. I don't know if this is common practice for stuff like this, but I can say I've put on let's say probably about 10,000 miles with this skid plate, and it's just built like a tank. This skid plate is what is it? It's almost a 1/4 inch thick, and it's heavy. It's badass. And a lot of people leave them off. I probably will leave mine off in the summer months, but in terms of protection and all that, it's definitely a necessity in the winter months here in Chicagoland. So I'm just going to show you a few pictures here and kind of show you what the install looks like. This skid plate has little attachable flaps that go on the sides, which are really nice. Those flaps, they basically curl up and hold the wheel liners in place. So typically when you remove the stock skid plate, the wheel liners are free to kind of blow in the wind, and they could potentially blow back into the tires, and then the tires will rub on the wheel liners. So this Thor skid plate is a nice quality. It takes a little bit of finagling to kind of get it all lined up and get those side plates aligned properly. But once you get it all set up, it fits really well. It fits like a glove, and I really like the feature of how it holds the wheel liners in place too. So once it's bolted on, I actually only use 3 bolts. So the rear 2 bolts that go into the subframe, and then the front I only used 1 because that's all I could pretty much get to line up. When I did the damage to my car, I blew off an entire portion of my front bumper, and so I kind of like messed up my mounting points and all that. So if you're putting a Thor skid plate on a stock car that's still in good condition underneath there and all that, you shouldn't have any problems lining up the holes and all that. One note that I will say or make is you will have to remove the skid plate to change your oil, which I believe is pretty common for any aftermarket skid plate. But you know, overall it's not too bad. Like I said, it's 4 bolts. I'm only using 3 bolts. Hell, I could probably get away with just using the 2 rear subframe bolts because this thing is so damn solid. But yeah, so if you have any questions, please comment, rate, subscribe, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'm really surprised with the quality and the build of this. It was a little pricey, but you know what? It still looks brand new after, geez, it's been over 6 months of use with this skid plate. And every time I take it off, all I do is just kind of wipe it down, and it's brand new and shiny again. So stay tuned. Episode 7 is coming up soon.